If I Should Die by Donevy Westphal. Available through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and other retailers.
Why had they called in someone to mess up the crime scene now? Did someone know stuff they shouldn't? If so, how much? And was his mission compromised? Why hadn't he heard from Junko? What a morning in this quiet, sleepy community, Julius rolled his eyes. Good thing nothing ever happens here. Hot dog, that stings. Julius sprayed some disinfectant on the gash on his leg from the barbed wire fence, then applied gauze and tape. He stopped to listen as the car pulled into the driveway. Mrs. McDonald and Ruth's excited voices chattered on their way inside. "Where have you been?" Ruth asked as Julius came into the kitchen. "I've been exercising and gathering pictures. What have you two been up to?" "I had to go over to Grandpa's. You'll never guess what happened." Ruth's eyes were wide as she gasped to catch her breath. "I guess not. Never was much of a guesser. What happened?" He poured a cup of coffee and leaned against the counter. "We took some stuff over to Grandpa, and I went by Mom's to feed Oliver the cat. There were 4, Mrs. McDonald said. 4, that's right. But we only saw 2 at first. 2 vandals at the house. They tried to pretend they were only there because the property was for sale." Julius feigned puzzlement. "I didn't know your grandpa was selling your mom's house." "He isn't." Ruth gave Julius a withering look. "It's complicated, but anyway. Then Mrs. McDonald here starts shooting, and the guy on the other side of the house starts hollering." "Wait, Ruth, it goes like this, Julius. We pulled in to feed the cat. These men came up like they were looking to buy property. Ruth tells them to leave. About the time I pulled my pistol out of my purse. The other 2, who are tied up, begin to yell. 'You have a pistol? Isn't that unusual?' 'It's a leftover from before my accident. I only used it for target practice, but I guess I must have shot the hat off of one fella, the gun out of the other guy's hand.'" She stopped with a confused look on her face. "Except I didn't take the safety off, nor did I have my finger on the trigger." Julius glanced at the clock. "Whoa, look at the time. Not to interrupt, but I need to slip into town." Julius chuckled as he drove toward Herman. The look on Mrs. McDonald's face when she tried to figure out how she had shot the man's hat off his head. They should soon find out from the police that she hadn't fired the gun, but for now he'd have to leave them to wonder about him. He pulled into the parking lot at the Herman Police Department and went inside. The young woman looked up as he approached the desk. "May I help you?" "I need to speak to Chief Mallory." "He's busy right now. Can I take your name?" "Julius C. Armstrong. I'd appreciate it if you'd pass that on to him now." "Sir, this being a Saturday—" "Crime doesn't take a holiday, ma'am. I tell you what. Just pass my name on, and if he's still too busy for a friend," Julius winked. "Oh, I didn't know," she pressed the buzzer. "Julius Armstrong, here to see you, sir." "Julius Armstrong, send him in right now," Mallory said. "That door right there," she pointed. "Thank you." The door opened as he approached. "Chief Mallory?" The door closed to the office, and Julius held out a hand. Mallory shook Julius's hand. "Have a seat." While they settled into their seats, Julius observed Chief Mallory. The guy could have been the police officer poster model with his precision-cut reddish-brown hair, no-nonsense brown eyes, and trim muscular physique. Mallory leaned forward, resting his elbows and folding his hands on his desk. "What can I help you with?" "2 things. The police report on file from November 3rd, 1985 on Mrs. O'Brien's death. And I need a local telephone van Monday afternoon about 3:30 p.m. Can you get that for me?" "I'll get you the report, but it'll have to be unofficial." Mallory's eyes narrowed. "You need me to get the van set up?" "What's going on?" "I need to get into the Meacham house, and it must be someone that can be trusted implicitly." Julius opted not to answer the question on Mallory's face. "I need it in the O'Brien's Grove by Diana's house. The grove and the path are kind of overgrown, but drive it in and let it sit. Should be easy to hide it in there. I'll need it for about an hour and a half." "You know, 99% of the police force is honest and reliable. Wouldn't deny that. Problem is that last 1% now, isn't it? And there has to be more than one on the pay. That's so. Things have changed since I've been here these last 6 months, but it all takes time. Say, what was going on out there this morning? I got some strange reports, Chief Mallory said. When the ladies got home before lunch, they had a wild tale about 4 fellows over at Diana O'Brien's property. What did you hear on this end? Julius asked. We got a call, needing assistance with vandals that said property at 908 and sent our officers out right away. When they arrived, they found the young O'Brien woman and an older woman, MacDonald, I believe, with the bead on 2 shysters. The 2 men from out of town swore they thought the property was for sale and they were looking to buy it. We also found 2 trussed-up fellows, 2 Bingley and Earl Jacobs. We couldn't explain why they were there, or why and how they were tied up. It all seemed to be an orange cat's fault. We detained them, but eventually had to let them go. The cat seemed innocent, but wouldn't talk. Julius coughed into his handkerchief. I see. That kind of sums it up, I guess. He caught the twinkle in the police chief's eye. You say the call came in at 9:08? That's what's on the log. I'll call dispatch. You can check with them. Oh, and I'll check for that police report on Diana O'Brien's death. Just a minute. Chief Mallory walked to a bank of file cabinets along one wall. After a few minutes, he came back with a report. You know it wasn't listed as suspicious, don't you? Heart attack is what I read. Isn't that unusual, sir, for someone that young? Yes and no. Not if there's a family history, and not if you don't want to investigate. Yeah, that's what I think. Well, thanks. Julius tucked his file in his briefcase and stood. If you'd have that van Monday, I'll appreciate it. I'll be in touch. Julius closed the door behind him and walked to the front desk. Dispatch? The petite brunette officer looked up at Julius's question and motioned. Down that hall, first door on the right. Julius knocked on the door and entered. A middle-aged, balding man looked up from where he sat in the control panel. Can I help you? Chief sent me. Where were you? Were you here this morning? No, Marcy's on duty in the morning. I have the afternoon shift. Why? Need to ask about a call that came in this morning about... Julius hesitated and scratched his forehead. I don't remember, 8:30 or 9:30, I think. Let me check the log. The man ran his finger down the times. We have a call at 8 a.m., another at 9:08, but nothing in between. Thanks, Julius said. Julius dropped into his car and glanced at the clock on his dashboard. 1 o'clock. He pulled into the A&W drive-in. 1 root beer float, he said into the mic. Julius leaned back and savored his float. He checked his pager phone. He had sent this morning's call at 8:48, 20 minutes before dispatch had posted it. I have to find out who Marcy from Morning Dispatch is. His mind wandered back to another A&W root beer stand from his youth. As a young kid, he sat scooping ice cream from his float as his brother's wife took her scheduled break. He liked to come in the afternoon after football practice and listen to her talk while he waited for his brother to get off work. She never said anything noteworthy, but she was kind of funny. I don't much care for that cigarette, he said to her once. She squinted through the smoke at him. Don't you think smoking makes me look more mature? She raised her nose a tad bit higher and turned her face so he could see her profile. No, it makes you look like a little kid trying to be her mom's trying on her mom's lipstick or something. And it stinks. You should try it. You look debonair. I'd look dead. That's what my folks would do to me. He took a big drink of his root beer. No, you wouldn't. They wouldn't have to know. All the guys that are cool smoke. That list will have to not include me. Thanks, but no thanks, he said. He knew he couldn't keep it from his father. That guy knew everything. He had eyes everywhere. Don't you want to be cool? No, he said. Well, your folks don't like me anyway, she assumed a pouty look. That's not true. My folks like everybody. He stopped eating his float. Why wouldn't they like you? I'm not lying. It's because I'm part Cherokee.